Okay, I watched it, and so did a lot of you apparently. And coming from an elder millennial, I will tell you I was disturbed. I bring up generations because Gen Z, I take my hat off to you. Thank you. I appreciate it because you are seeing things with a different lens and you are helping us to see things with a different lens. I don't see generation wars. I see generational perspective. And growing up in the 90s, the early 2000s was different, harrowing even. I'm Dr. Ali, and I have a book about beauty coming out called The Problem with Pretty. It's available for pre-sale, actually. And so I have my PhD in clinical psychology, and I use that doctorate to talk about beauty, specifically beauty in women of color. So when I saw this doc, I was like, gotta watch it. I don't want to give a play-by-play of the things that we learned in the documentary because y'all saw it. But I want to talk about some of the overarching societal structures that we have around beauty and size. In my book, I do a kind of surface dive into the last 100 years of beauty norms. Couldn't go too deep because literally it would take up the entire book. I talk about how we see changes in beauty norms about every 7 to 10 years. Yeah, y'all, I had to get a stand. I need free movement because if we look at body types, fashion, hairstyles, makeup from, let's say, 1910s until the 1920s, that's a big change. We went from bustled dresses to flapper style in like a few years. The bodies underneath those clothes changed as well. In the 1920s, we had seen some of the slimmest bodies we had actually ever seen. Then you move into the 1930s. We still see the slim aesthetic. 1940s and 50s, though, we see a change. We're post-World War II, and the women had been working in the factories because the men had been off to war. Rosie the Riveter was a thing, right? The white gals were at work because let's establish, as white women were fighting to get into the workplace, Black women, women of color, Asian, Hispanic, Indigenous, they had been working, okay? So let's establish white women were being told now to go home because the GI Bill was in place and the government wanted to get back to these classic values. And so we actually saw a slight increase in the weight and size of major celebrities. We see products on the market that are helping women to gain weight so they can be a little bit more soft, a little bit more fluffy, a little bit more feminine. We see the little cone bras coming. So whereas before everything was kind of compacted and flat, now we see more of a Venus kind of structure. Zoftig, Rubenesque. And then we have Marilyn Monroe, who was a size 12, but she was a tricky size 12 because all the girls that shop vintage know the sizes changed. There's actually 2 major size shifts in our country where a size 12 then is more like a size 6 or 8 now. Y'all saw Kim Kardashian trying to fit into that girl's dress, okay? Not a size 12. The bodies got back to their slim standard in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, and 2010. So for a very long time, we have seen slimness being part of the external standard. So when I talk about the beauty standard, I'm not necessarily talking about what the average everyday woman is doing, but I'm talking about what we're seeing on TV, what we're seeing in magazines, what we're seeing projected back at us by society. Because there's a distinct difference between the sizes of women in media and the sizes of women in reality. And we actually see that difference grow when women in reality are becoming more successful, when we see more women in school, when we see more women taking on jobs in, corporate America, we actually see images of women in media get smaller and smaller and smaller. Because y'all know there were actually a lot of women in college in the 1920s, right? Women made up like 45% of college students. Then by the 1950s, they were like 25%. I know because the media images that we are fed actually reflect things that happen in our society. It's wild. This is why I decided to study beauty because people disregard it. They say it's shallow. They say it's not that important, but it actually keys and gives us indicators of a lot of things that are going on different levels of society. And America's Next Top Model was doing the exact same thing. With my 2026 eye, I could say I wish America's Next Top Model had pushed more against the beauty norms of the time, but for the time, it actually did a decent amount of pushing. Again, with my current eye, not enough. But I honestly had no idea that our first plus size model came from that show. Because the first few cycles were really focused on tall, very slim girls. And then they began to expand out and look for women of different sizes, different heights, different aesthetics. I was also very surprised that Winnie Harlow came out of that show. I don't know why I didn't know that. Why didn't y'all tell me? America's Next Top Model aired in 2003. Slim was the thing. That was it. You didn't see anything else in modeling. You were lucky to see a woman of color. We had Naomi. We had Iman. We had Tyra. We had Alec. I think we had Alec by then. Yep, we had Alec. 1996 is when she started. In the early 2010s, we start to see bodies differentiate a little bit more. We see booties. That's when we have like this whole butt era. We have Kim Kardashian had a booty. I know. Feel how you're going to feel. J-Lo had a booty. Again, feel how you're going to feel. Because I know for us in the Black community, right, we got made fun of. I went to an all-white school. I don't even have much of a butt if you've ever really seen me. But I was clowned for having a butt. I was made fun of for having hair extensions. Like, y'all, I shouldn't be telling you this. But when I told my classmates that my like braids were made of synthetic hair, similar to plastic, they started singing the Barbie girl song. Every time I came in a room, I'm a Barbie girl. My hair is plastic. Like my whole entire junior high life. The 90s and early 2000s were dangerous. Now we are seeing so much more diversity, and diversity in ways that aren't just like size and color. Like we have got textures. We have got people with different levels of capabilities and disabilities on runways. We see ads with people who actually look like people. So Gen Z, keep doing what y'all do. Push back. Remind those of us that we were raised in trauma and this was nonsense, and that we've got to rethink some of the things that we used to think were acceptable. That's what younger generations do for older generations. They hold up a mirror and help us see that there's a different way to think.